begin today, chapter 29. Warning. This chapter is heavy, a deeper level of demanding of the Beinoni. I don't suggest we try this until we have worked on the 28 chapters that came before this. In one word, this chapter, mevachin, which means to splinter. We'll explain what that means. It can happen that a Beinoni, and remember, a Beinoni is someone who's mastered thought, speech, and action, their behavior, and are impeccable. But that doesn't mean you can't have a dullness of heart. Dullness of heart during prayer, for example, that you're just not excited about your prayers, or at least for the Beinoni's level, on the level of the Beinoni. And for us, on our level, when it comes to prayer, the Alter Rebbe is using that as a specific example, but, suggested it goes beyond that, of course. You're just not excited about God gave you a day, and you're kind of down. And the things that we've spoken till now that will bring us joy so we can be uplifted in our day and tackle, wrestle with our day, with our struggles, with our issues in the best and most appropriate way. Got dullness of heart? You're not there. Or, for example, in being able to wage war against the natural impulse that we have, our natural desires that we have, that are even permissible, but yet, they're not only not necessary, but they're not what should I be into. So you can't wage war on it, so to speak, as we spoke in the previous class. Now, there's those things that are permissible that you can hold back from the impulse and not give in to, the desire to eat right now and learn Tanya, right? Perfect example. Like eating when you're learning, you might think, well, on the one hand, you could say, well, I'm actually learning when I'm eating. So that's amazing. I was eating, so I'm adding learning to it. That's amazing. But if it's a time to learn and you're eating during your learning, so then obviously you're not going to be so focused because, there's a focus going to be to the food. So do we have the impulse control that we can put aside that? Sometimes it's hard. We don't have that, that impulse control. So what do you do in order to gain a mastery over yourself that you can have the impulse control? Again, for things that are permissible, we're not talking about things that are not permissible, only, right? Because we're speaking on a higher level, the level of the Beinoni. Or that your prayers are not with the fiery passion that it should be or could be. And it bothers you. Now, again, this is after you've done everything till now, and not everything's working. So the Alter Rebbe quotes from the Zohar with a metaphor that when, again, this is about dullness of heart, and you're very sincere in your devotion to God, that you want to eliminate that dullness of heart, so you should have the joy and the passion in your prayers, and the dealing with your day in the appropriate way. So the Zohar says that if you have a fire, regular twigs or branches you put into the fire are going to catch fire. But if you have a huge log and you put it into the fire, it's not going to catch. What do you have to do? You have to splinter it. Take an axe and you cut it up into smaller pieces. By making the smaller pieces, now the fire will catch to the log. That's a metaphor. I mean, what's the metaphor? We have a huge log that the fire of the fiery love of God is not affecting this huge log. And what is that? Our body that has its own agenda, that's creating now a dullness of heart, that the passion of connecting to God is not there because of the dullness of heart of the body is creating. So what do I got to do? Splinter the body. Not literally. Not literally, God forbid, obviously, not literally. What we need to do is to bring down the body and its influence in my life. I have to crush the body, figuratively speaking, not physically, not at all, by making the body humbled. That's really the word. It's humbling the body, so therefore it will not take away from the light of my soul that should be giving me a passion when I'm praying. It should give me a passion in the service of God. How do I humble the body? So it's a conversation that you have with yourself, to your body. It says, you, that body of mine, your agenda is despicable. Not that your body's despicable, because your body is it's a temple for your soul. It's holy. But the agenda of the body is self-serving. What does the body want? It wants pleasure-seeking. It wants, just to enjoy life for the sake of enjoying life. No service of God. It just wants what it wants for itself, to feel good in itself. That's a despicable agenda, because there's no God there. There's no service of God. There's nothing exalted in that. And it doesn't mean there's anything very important. It doesn't mean there's no Attila the Hun over here. There's no, this is not a, whatever kind of evildoer you think, but it's evil in the sense that the body's agenda has no God in it. The body's agenda is merely self-serving, pleasure-seeking. That needs to be humbled. When your heart doesn't have the spontaneity that it needs to have the passion in your prayers, because the agenda of the body. So we have to break the spirit of that body, the sitra achra, of the negativity, because that's who the person is. Meaning, that's who we are by, so to speak, the way God created us. And the soul that you gave me is pure, that you put into me. Well, put into me. In other words, there was a me that you put into. Who's the me? Is the body and the animal soul. The godly soul is secondary. Think about it. Our first reaction to something is going to be a self-serving reaction, primarily, because that's who we are. We're not like the righteous, like Hillel the elder said when he went to go eat, that he's going to do a favor for his body now by going to eat. I don't look at when I'm going to eat, I'm doing a favor for my body. My body desires that and wants it. I don't look at it as a favor. I don't feel it that way. I might intellectually know that, but it's not about intellectual knowledge over here for the righteous. For the righteous, that's how they feel, because their reality, their being, is just their soul, not the body, because they've transformed the body. They've transformed the body that the body is just, they're totally subservient to the needs of the soul. But not me, not you. And if you think it is, it's not. We need to introduce soulfulness, and we have to work on that. It doesn't just come naturally. So when we have a dullness of heart, we need to humble the body and telling it, speaking to it, that your agenda Mr. Body, and what you want. It's despicable. You want me to be a pleasure seeker. You want me to be, just totally self-absorbed in even good stuff. Giving charity just because it makes me feel good. That's the body talking. You did a mitzvah? Talking about a higher level here. You're not doing the mitzvah because of the body's agenda. You're doing the mitzvah because of the soul's agenda, because it wants to connect to God, it does have the love of God, but we need to reveal it. How do we reveal it? When the body its agenda is consuming me in the moment, and that's why I have what's called a dullness of heart. That's the idea of mevachin, I say, is that we splinter it, we humble the body and its agenda. Again, it's not a physical thing. It's a conversation you have with yourself, which the Alter Rebbe is going to go further into what that conversation entails. But basically, it's to break the agenda of the body of being self-serving, pleasure-seeking individual. And with that broken spirit will allow then the soul to be revealed, and the dullness of heart to be removed, and therefore having great joy in the service of Hashem. Heavy duty stuff. As I said, we gotta be careful with this. To be holding by something. If we are insecure with ourselves and with who we are, don't go there with this. For you're so secure that really my soul is my true reality, and my body, its agenda, is not what I'm about. And even though I enjoy those physical, material things that that are pleasurable from the body's perspective, if I recognize that that's not really where I should be at, so then you can start with this kind of conversation. But if this is a little beyond where you're holding in your life, which I would suggest that many who are watching this is something they're not ready for. As I said, there's 28 chapters before this that we need to incorporate. And when you do that, then you could be ready for this, that you could humble the body and its agenda. Again, the humbling over here is of the agenda of the body, of what it wants, and that it's creating a dullness of heart within me that I am trying to remove. That's it, folks. First timers, be careful. Those who've been with me for a long time, some of you've learned this several times, so it's not new. But it's always new because we've grown since the last time we learned this. So we're in a different place that maybe some of this could be introduced in our lives in a healthy way. It's got to be in a healthy way. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it's going to create a greater insecurity of who you are. But you're so secure that you are really a godly soul. And even though, I'll be honest, when I eat something that's good food, I enjoy it. Or other things that I try not to get carried away with it. And sometimes we need to humble our heart, humble ourselves in that area that, as I say, it's one thing that you enjoyed the food. It's another thing that's what becomes the topic of conversation. Oh, did you try this at this restaurant? Did you try this? Oh, this was amazing, and so on. It's almost like making a god out of it. And that will produce a dullness of heart, because what's real for me, one thing you enjoyed the food, it's another thing that it became so real that that's what the conversation is all about. using that as an example because I think that's something we can all kind of relate to. And so because of that, so it's going to truly cover up on our soul and not allow us to feel the passion of wanting just to serve God and the connection to God. And therefore, sometimes we need to talk to ourselves about this. Hey, why am I getting carried away? That's not me, the agenda of the soul. So we have to humble that part in us. Hope the message is clear. As I said, I want to make sure that you do this, if you engage in this in any manner, in a healthy, good way. Marjorie from Tanya Beach, Florida. Good morning. Stephanie from Bloomington, Illinois. Thank you for joining. Jacqueline is with us. Shalom. Inush from the Philippines, if I remember. Beth from Iowa City. Jonalyn. Thank you. From Baltimore, Alice. Bid down under. Oy. All right. Get on top. Yan from Mexico. Thank you. Jim, thank you for joining. Lizbel? I'm sure I got that wrong. Caroline, shalom. John from North Carolina, thank you for joining. Eric is with us from Norway. Good afternoon. Thank you. Lizbel and Barbara. Thank you. Kimberly, Shavua Tov. Adina, thank you. Karen, thank you. Yes. Adina is with us from Brooklyn. Ernie from Mississippi. Can these, Ashley's asking, can these different agendas express as split personalities? For example, deep within myself, I want to be Hasidic. However, my external reality doesn't align with my internal desire. I wish to preserve and protect the status and the relationship I find within my secular community. I'm aiming at the balance between worlds because I am definitely not Hasidic, but I can still help in other ways. So it's Ashley, thank you for that question. Excellent. So talk about a label over here of what, of which community you're in and who you align yourself with. It's really about, as we started in the first part that you said, about what you are on the inside. We have two souls. We have an animal soul that gives vitality to our body. It has its own agenda, and we have a godly soul. So the question is, you got to ask yourself, what do you want? We have to ask ourselves, what do we want in our lives? Our natural instinct is to be self-serving from the animal soul. What's good for me, what I want from me, what's pleasurable for me, what I enjoy, and so on. And that's the lingo. That's the lingo. And, is that bad? Well, it doesn't, you could do a lot of mitzvahs that way. You could do a lot of good. That's not what Tanya is about. Tanya is getting in tune with who you are on a deeper level of your godly soul, and that you want to live with the reality of what that soul's truth is. That soul's truth is it wants to be connected to God. Why? Just because that's its nature. Not because it's going to get Garden of Eden and not go to hell. Not because it's going to get, 72, whatever. No, just for the connection. That's what it wants. So we got to ask ourselves, is that what I want? Or do I just want what feels good, which is the animal soul, which gives the body its agenda? So there's feel good materially, there's feel good spiritually, but that's all the body's agenda. Tanya is trying to get us beyond that. Be in tune to your real, true self, which is your divine soul. And then, so it's not about fitting in. It's about being who you really are ultimately. And coming to terms with that, coming to dealing with that. So sometimes, the agenda of the body is strong, and you want to overcome it. It's speaking about someone who wants to overcome that. If you don't want to overcome it, then it's not what to talk about. But if you want to overcome that because of the dullness of heart, and you're not able to be attuned to your soul, and therefore your prayers are not what they should be, and your engagement of of the day is not with the joyfulness that it should be. So sometimes you need to humble and have a conversation with that part in you that you need to humble. That's what we're talking about. How that will affect your engagement in the community, that's not about how you will be amongst other people. It's about how you see yourself and what you want to be with yourself. How that will affect others around you. Actually, you'll be able to accept them much more, those who are not like you. Because you're attuned to your truth. So then you know that there's a deeper truth in them, and try to help them to recognize that if they're ready to, if they want to recognize that. And if they're not, help them in whatever way you can. That's Hasidic, by the way. It's not about being in a community and, that's Hasidic. But that was a great question. Mixio. I sure got that wrong. Thank you for joining. What would be other examples than food, Sandy asks? Okay, excellent question. Any other kind of pleasure, so, being a couch potato, right? Well, that's already like being, couch potato is really, Beinoni is not a couch potato, obviously. But that's the body's agenda. It's just, seeking comfort. So seeking the comfort of, and the enjoyment and pleasure. Any pleasure seeking that is just for the pleasure itself. So that's an agenda of the body, which we all have it. The question is, if I want to make that my truth, my reality, my life that I want to live, based on that feel good of it, it's going to express itself in anything and everything. And the Beinoni doesn't fall for that at all. I will, because I'm not a Beinoni. We're not a Beinoni, but at least we know what our truth is. That's what's important. So we don't get carried away, and that's why the food is the best example, because it's something we engage in all the time, and it's something that is definitely an easy thing to have the pleasure of, and therefore to recognize that that's not me. So I'm eating and even enjoying it. That's not me. So I'm not going to allow that to its agenda that it should be me, that the food is me. The pleasure of food and enjoying food, that's me. It's not me. Again, we're talking here about humbling that pleasure that I'm having in that I'm trying to humble that's where such a person who doesn't want that to be them. Now that doesn't mean that when you're tasting the food you're not going to enjoy it, but because we're not a tzaddik, so we're going to enjoy it. That's not the point. The point is not that you're not going to enjoy the food. I hate this food. No. No. That's not the point. The point is, I'm not living for the pleasure of that food. I'm living for something more. So if you're not living for it, so then it'll become the It doesn't. I just expressed it. That then it doesn't become the topic of conversation. When you are with a group of people, for example, you just happen to be eating food and enjoying it, but not making it me. And same thing is with anything else, right? You exercise. So some people, that's them, because that's the body. Even though it's exerting yourself and exercising, so it might not even be pleasurable, but there's the pleasure of the exertion that I feel good about myself, that I exercise. And so exercise, but that's what you're about. That's what life is. Feeling good about yourself because you exercise and you exerted yourself. That's not the soul's desire. Soul's desire is connection to God. Now, by the way, I exercise, but that's not my reality, my truth. I exercise because it's keep the body healthy, but that's not to allow that exercise should become my reality, my pleasure, the exertion thereof, right? No, my pleasure is, or my desire is, that my soul should be the truth of the soul, that its connection to God, and doing what God needs of me, what He needs of me in my purpose in this world, that is an expression of my soul. That's my reality. That's my truth. I hope that's real for bringing here. We should add l'chaim here for this. Real for bringing. Ahmad, thank you for joining. Linda's asking, will the animal soul change in the Messianic times? Absolutely. Susanna from Miami, Shavua Tov. Rick from the Chicago area, welcome. Nick. Okay. Shmuel from the Minyan. Okay. Thank you, folks, for your comments. Amazing. We are from Brazil. Jonathan from Orange County, New Jersey. All right, folks. Sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. And a reminder, Tanya Rabbi on Instagram, on my Instagram, you can follow for the 1 minute Tanya. Also on LinkedIn and Twitter. YouTube coming. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine. Coming to Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, Tanya. Have a wonderful day.